Can we get a 911 dispatcher story? Hi, Erxio. Oh, dude, it's really difficult because I didn't work there for that long. Like, it's only, like, less than a year. So I already ran out of all the cool stories, but maybe I can think really hard and think of one that I've never told or I've only told a couple of times. Did I tell you guys about the turkey? The fucking turkey? So, you know, the crazy thing about working in 911 is that most people there are veterans, right? It's not like a barista job where, you know, people are very interchangeable and new talent is recruited all the time. No. The people that need to do that job need to be trained. They don't come in and come out. No. The people there are old. So I was basically one of the new people, and everyone there already had their traditions, their stories, and they had to fill me in on some of the stories that I wasn't there for. And one of them, the funniest one by far, according to them, was when someone called to report that their turkey had been stolen from their oven. And the person in question was so bewildered, so confused. Like what? From the oven? And was like the oven turned on? Like, oh my god. That was way too funny. Okay, we have given the artist a little bit of info there. Teammates spread out, good stuff. Yeah, I expect them to probably get spotted before me. Since they're all here, seemingly. Yeah, they're all walking, which means in Survivornese, walking means, oh, I'm scared the killer's near. So I'm gonna take that as my cue to just go to gens a bit further from that 3-gen. I mean, this is fine. Let's do this. Turkeys in Spain? Yeah, they're not very common, chat. That makes it even funnier. Because in America, there's this whole Thanksgiving thing where, you know, it's very traditional for a family to come together and make turkey and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But in Spain, turkeys are not that common. It's not that common of a food. So it is really stupid. Maybe it was a person with dementia that called. It could be, yeah. Sometimes people prank you. Sometimes people don't prank you. But they have a lot of... let's call it, damn it, let's call it baggage, like a little bit of a story behind them. And talking about things that my co-workers all knew about, one of them was regarding a particular color that was a very frequent color. Right? No DMS though. That's funny. Alright. My teammates, are they going? Yeah, they are. Nice. This key is really handy, by the way. With open-handed, dude, I can see so far. Anyway. Yeah, so one other thing that everyone knew about except for me was a particular gentleman. I think it was a gentleman, yeah. I don't remember his name, and if I did, obviously, I wouldn't be able to talk about it and divulge, like, personal information. But it was this man that called very frequently, typically around night when it was my shift. And, you know, he would just be like, hey, yo, yeah, just give me some food, guys. Come on, dude. Like, he would just have very odd requests. Now, this was a person well known by the local authorities because they just had some unspecified huge pain in the mental illness, I suppose, or disorder. And they did have a caretaker that went by, checked on them, gave them food, you know. Which is good. It's good to hear. But in between those visits, I guess, this person believed that it was us. It was us, the emergency people, that are somehow responsible for sending their caretakers in. So they would call all the time. And now you have to imagine how absolutely insane it was for me as a beginner at that job to hear a man refer to me like it's my job to bring in a burger or something, you know? And for him, it was completely normal. And for my for my workmates, it was completely normal. So yeah, like first time this person called and I took it, I was so confused. And then my bosses or my coworkers had to film me. Oh, just bring me a burger instead. Well, believe it or not, it's very common, and it's very common for people to call in for petty things, and we have to turn those things down, right? Like a minor emergency is still an emergency, and that's fine. Like, if there was a big blackout in your neighborhood, should you call? Yeah, that's, you know, at least where I work, that was a good reason to call. Sometimes people are, you know, they're hooked up to machines that keep them alive, right? People with medical conditions. So if there's a blackout and nobody checks on those people, they could, you know, they could be in a really bad spot. So minor emergencies are fine to call in, but non-emergencies should not be called in. If you need a taxi, that's not my job. You're taking the time that could go to someone that really, really needs it, you know? You never really know. That was excellent. Well, not quite, but... You never really know when the emergency people are gonna be busy. This is a completely fine bird, by the way. Wait, now it's not actually. Oh, she missed? Is she slowed down from the hit? Yeah, but she's gonna hit me still. Oh. Oh, well, GG's. So it would be really, really nice if you taught your kids that calling for non-emergencies is a really big sin. Even as a joke, you should never do it. Number one, we can tell very easily when it's a joke, because we have a lot more info that you might realize, including your location, and if you're calling or not for a payphone. We can tell almost right away. So it's a very serious thing, and it's not nice. And number two, as I was mentioning, sometimes some horrible, untimely tragedy happens. Let's say a terrorist attack. And then guess what? We're all busy, and your call comes in instead of another one that could be, you know, the difference between life and death. That's terrible. There should be another pallet to my right. Do I make it, though? Dude, I don't even see it. Well done. That was a good chance, at least. Nice, they're gonna finish that one. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I forgot what I was talking about completely after that. Why do you ask for location in emergencies if you already have the locations? Just out of curiosity. Number one, the system can sometimes fail, chat. It's very uncommon, but... Oh, unlucky. It's very uncommon, but every now and then, you'll have a person being like, hello, I'm in New York down the street. And you're like, wait, are you sure you're in New York? Because my system tells me that you're in, you know, Yellowstone, Wyoming. Like, it says clear as day here that you're in Yellowstone, Wyoming. And he's like, no, I am 100% in New York. And hey, turns out that, you know, the system glitched. So that can totally happen. And number two, the positioning that we have, unless you have some specific app, at least in the job that I took, was extremely vague. So even though I can know more or less where you are, if you're in a city of millions, that doesn't narrow it down at all. So I need to hear from you to know 100% that if I'm hooking you up with the police, they show up to the right place and not to the wrong spot. Now, if you want to know an interesting anecdote about that, there is a really bad worst case scenario that can happen if you don't confirm the information, right? So I'm gonna make up all of the details, obviously, for completely understandable reasons. But this happened to a coworker of mine. All right, they got a call about someone that needed to be brought to the hospital in an ambulance because of medical issues, and they gave a town and a street and a number. Typically, that's enough, right? So let's say the street was Bangkok. Painter Bangkok, number 35. My coworker misheard the name of the town. And as luck would have it, the town that they misheard also had a street named Bangkok Painter number, and it had 35. So the system absolutely did not see anything wrong with that input. I see it. Lovely. So, she or he sent the ambulance to a town miles and miles and miles away from the person that needed it. And then 30 minutes later, when the person called in and was like, where's the ambulance? The supervisor came in, figured out what was wrong, and then noticed a horrible mistake. And I'm pretty sure that person ended up being completely fine, and this is a horribly, horribly unlikely thing to happen. But yeah, imagine, tough, right? Oh, this was a very strong add-on, but otherwise completely vanilla artist. Sorry, did you get the adept? So that's pretty awful. That's really pretty awful. Do you have any idea how much 991 differs in other countries? I have a pretty good idea that in countries that are rich, like the United States, you know, Northern Europe, I'm pretty sure their systems must be better than ours. Like the systems we had, in my opinion, were very outdated. So yeah. in third world countries, developing countries, whatever you want to call them, I imagine it must be an absolute, you know, like with the emergency we had, we already felt pretty overwhelmed. So I can't imagine it must be any pleasant at all. But yeah, I'll think of some other stories. I'll tell you about some of them. Thank you so much for watching and listening to that. We will never know if she got the adept, Chad. But good news. From the next patch or something, I think adept will only be 4 kills. Not necessarily the actual emblem system. So it's gonna be easier. If you're trying to do adepts now, maybe stop. Wait for that update to come.